My name coming out your mouth, then I feel flattered. Cause when they stop talking about you, then you don't matter. Since yay high, young and used to stay fly. Never snitched the rule, a lot of y'all forgot to play.
The man accused of murdering his co-workers in a mass shooting in Harford County last year appeared before a judge today. He plans an insanity defense. WJZ investigator Mike Kelgan is at the courthouse in Bel Air updating what happened.
Radee Prince is planning an insanity defense to charges he murdered his co-workers in Edgewood last year. A judge ordered 2 mental health evaluations. One will determine whether Prince is even competent to stand trial. His defense attorney claims he suffers from PTSD. Prince's sister previously told me she feared her brother and that he had unspecified mental health problems that went untreated for years.
A ticking time bomb means that anything that he doesn't like, he was going to get revenge somehow. Radee was nothing to play with. You get on the bad side of Radee, there's no turning back.
On the morning of October 18th, 2017, before anything broke apart, Advanced Granite Solutions in Edgewood, Maryland, looked like any other place where people were trying to make a living. Workers stepped through the doors carrying lunch bags, work gloves, thermoses, and the weight of another shift ahead of them. The noise of saws and polishers filled the air. A cold morning light pushed through the warehouse windows. Nothing in the scene suggested that 5 men would soon be on the ground, 3 of them dying where they fell, and that one man's world would collide with the justice system in 2 different states. That man was Radee Labeeb Prince. To understand how he arrived at that moment, you have to start years earlier. In 2014, Radee was assaulted in a beating so severe, it left permanent marks on his body and, according to expert testimony, lasting damage inside his mind. Court documents describe a deep laceration across his face, a cut to his hand, internal injuries, and what a forensic psychiatrist would later identify as a moderate traumatic brain injury to the frontal lobe. That is the part of the brain responsible for judgment, emotional control, and the ability to understand when danger is real and when it is not. The people closest to him testified that after the attack, he was not the same person. His girlfriend, LaKendra Harris, said he became extremely paranoid. He stopped sleeping. He stopped eating. He spent nights guarding the house, convinced someone was coming for him. He paced. He stayed up with his eyes fixed on doors and windows, and he spoke about being followed by people he could not name. To her, it was as if the man she knew had been replaced by someone trapped inside his own fear. Radee himself said that after the 2014 assault, he always felt like someone wanted to kill him. He said he saw signs everywhere. A car slowing down, a stranger's stare, a sudden sound. Everything felt like a warning. He described the sense of threat as constant, thick, and always closing in. He said he went through entire days waiting for another attack. This was the mindset he carried when he returned to work. And this was the mindset he carried when he later took a job at Advanced Granite Solutions, known as AGS. Inside AGS, the environment was loud and busy. Workers from different backgrounds and different languages tried to communicate over engines, grinders, cutters, and forklifts. It was the kind of place where small misunderstandings could happen easily. But for someone who already lived with unshakable fear, misunderstandings could turn into something that felt like danger. According to Radee's testimony, he believed his co-workers were talking about him. He said he heard them mocking him. He said he heard them making threats. One statement in particular stayed fixed in his memory. He said he heard one co-worker on the phone saying they were going to beat this puto N-word up. He said that as soon as he heard it, his mind went into survival mode. He described seeing gestures he interpreted as hostile. He described objects being dropped loudly on purpose. He said poles were being hit against metal surfaces. He said little things felt like warning signs, each one stacking on top of the next. Whether any of those things happened is a separate question. A forensic psychiatrist, Dr. David Williamson, evaluated Radee multiple times. Dr. Williamson testified that Radee suffered from major depression with psychotic features and symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. He also testified that the 2014 assault resulted in a traumatic brain injury that affected his ability to regulate emotion, perception, and aggression. According to Dr. Williamson, these conditions were present at the time of the 2017 shooting. To him, the link between the past trauma and the later violence was clear. But the question of whether that link excused the violence is what the jury would later face. What happened on the morning of October 18th was captured by a single surveillance camera mounted high in the warehouse. According to testimony, the system had multiple cameras, but the footage used in trial came from just one. Ibrahim Kushuk explained how the recording system worked and confirmed that the footage shown in court was the same footage retrieved by police on the day of the shooting. The appellate court later ruled that the video had been properly authenticated and admitted. The footage and the witness accounts lined up on every major point. Survivors Enoch Sosa and Roberto Gillen said that Radee called all of them over. It was not a random burst of violence. He summoned them. He drew them into a close group. Both survivors testified that he asked them to come closer as if he wanted them near him. Then he pulled out a handgun and opened fire. There was no shouting before the shots, no sign of physical confrontation, no sudden move from any of the victims. Only the motions he made when he raised the gun and fired. 5 men were shot. 3 died almost immediately by a Saikan Tudev, Enes Mavoljak, Oscar Hidalgo. 2 survived their injuries, Enoch Sosa, Roberto Gillen. The survivors would testify in detail about the moment their ordinary workday turned into chaos. They remembered the sound of the gunshots, the confusion, the sudden collapse of the men standing around them. They remembered the way time seemed to slow and then speed up all at once. Their testimonies became the backbone of the state's case. After the shooting, Radee didn't hide. He didn't stay to see what had happened. Instead, he drove north into Delaware. He headed straight toward a man named Jason Ball, someone he believed had been connected to the 2014 attack that left him permanently changed. Whether Ball had actually been part of that assault was never proven. But in Radee's mind, he was sure. He carried that belief for years. And on that day, his fear mixed with anger, and he drove directly to confront him. When he found Ball, he fired again.
calling you to please.
Ball survived, and the shooting triggered a multi-state manhunt. Police in Maryland and Delaware moved fast, tracking leads, watching neighborhoods, and working to stop a man who had already shot 6 people in 2 states within hours. When officers found him in Wilmington, he wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He was walking through a neighborhood with no clear destination, as though the adrenaline had drained out of him and he no longer knew where to go. They took him into custody without further violence. The danger he had carried across 2 states came to an end on a quiet street. Once he was arrested, the legal process began. Delaware charged him for the shooting of Ball. Maryland charged him for the shootings at AGS. The cases unfolded separately, but both pointed to the same pattern. A man who believed he was under threat, making choices that destroyed lives around him. In Delaware, he eventually received a 40-year sentence. In Maryland, the stakes were even higher. They convicted him of 3 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and using a firearm in the commission of a violent crime. The court sentenced him to multiple life sentences in addition to the Delaware time he was already facing. The 2 survivors carry memories that cannot be erased. They stood in court years later and told the world what they saw. Their testimony helped paint a picture of the moments that changed everything, but the burden of remembering belongs to them alone. Radee Prince now spends his days inside a prison cell. His name sits inside court opinions, preserved in legal language that describes his actions, his defense, and the evidence against him. The reasons behind what he did remain complicated, shaped by trauma, mental illness, personal history, and choices that led to death and permanent loss. The effects of what he did are simple and final. 3 men never came home. 2 carry scars seen and unseen, and a workplace changed forever.